I'm joined by Michael Landberg, Strategic Global Sourcing Manager with Boston Scientific. Michael, welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me.
What supply chain risk management challenges or pain points have you faced along the way that kind of gave you this awareness of a need for a new approach to the whole subject?
Right. So in a highly regulated industry, as we are with medical device, we really were affected by the tsunami that came there. And where it really affected us was we could not figure out who our suppliers were in Japan. You think we'd know, but we had a hard time finding it. It took us a while to figure that out. In the end, we weren't really affected, but it was a little bit of a wake-up call for us to figure out, hey, we need a better way to do this.
Mm-hmm. So you didn't have like a list you could refer to at a moment's notice, here's the suppliers. It just
Absolutely
wasn't
not.
that simple.
Nope, it was the emails that went out and said, hey, if you have any suppliers in Japan, can you let us know? And once we did have the list, we started tracking efforts. And like I said, at the end of the day, it was fine and we weren't impacted, but it took us quite a while just to figure out who was in Japan, much less were we impacted.
And yet you came out all right in that one.
We did.
Which isn't to say you wouldn't in the future if you had the same problem. So
We probably got lucky,
yeah.
really.
So you would call that the impetus, kind of the wake-up call, so to speak, in terms
Yes.
of a new approach to supply chain risk management.
Correct. And we said, well, we need to do a better job at this. We need to be more coordinated. We need to be more global. The spreadsheets and the offline type of tools that people were using, wouldn't talk to each other. So we had to come up with a cohesive solution. And from there, we started to look at a program and develop what we have today.
Were you even thinking in terms of SCRM? I mean, did that term actually exist within the company as a discipline, or was it?
No, it was all left up to the individual teams that would work on there. Like I said, not coordinated. And so not at all.
Yeah. So what processes, what technical capabilities did you bring to bear on the problem?
So for that, and like I said, we started off, we didn't have any very separate type systems. Fortunately, we had some internal software that we had developed some other tools that we were able to leverage, which pulls data out of our ERP system that we could put together. But it was more about what information did we already have and how could we put that to good use.
Certainly you engaged in some kind of exercise in supplier mapping. I mean, you didn't want to get caught out again without knowing who your suppliers were, right?
Oh, yeah, correct. And we also knew, as we looked around, that a kind of a world-class system goes way beyond your tier ones and your tier twos. And at the end of the day, with the Japan tsunami, it wasn't our tier ones that we found, that potentially the tier twos there and even the tier threes that we found along the way.
Mm-hmm. So did your effort reach out to those upper tiers?
We did in some of them. And I remember one of the suppliers, it was a chemical that went to a third tier supplier that we got a little nervous about. Like I said, in the end of the day, it turned out fine. But I mean, to get to that point to even understand that was quite a bit of resources.
Mm-hmm. And I take it the first tier suppliers were on board with you, that they were willing to go along with you in this.
Well, they were, yeah, for sure. And they were seeing it from their other customers that were in the same situation there, yes.
Yeah. Did you have any ability to benchmark, to look at any other companies out there doing the same thing, or did you kind of feel like you were out there on your own because not a lot of companies had come to even to this point
Right.
in their maturity?
So I think in our industry, we were leading the curve, but after that, we did have some time to kind of take a breath and relax and say, how do we build this program like we would in a world-class fashion? So in that sense, we did have time to step back and not be influenced by any one scenario, whether it would have been a tsunami or economic crisis or an earthquake or something like that. So we were able to step back and build a more holistic type program.
Yeah. Talk to me a little bit more about the underlying technology. What did it exactly entail? You say you had some internal systems, but what did this new solution actually do for you that you didn't have before?
Right. So we're able to put in, some of the, information beyond the tier ones to the tier twos. It was able to pull financial data that we already had. And even more important, we're able to do an impact to revenue type model that we had to create. We had it all there. We had the bills of material, we knew our revenue, and we knew the parts. And we just had to build that and put that together. And once we knew that gave us some great direction, on where to look for our critical suppliers.
Did it lead to good contingency planning?
Well, so that's kind of phase two. So right now we have we know where our critical suppliers are and where our pain points are. And now we need to kind of take that information and bring it to our already existing teams and strategies and have that be a part of those strategies.
What about simulations and the like exercises to prepare you for this? Are you going to get
that? Might be phase three.
Phase three.
That might be phase
one thing at a time, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So if I asked you to kind of sum up what the benefits of this effort have been from the time you started to the time we are today, what would those be?
Well, so I think one is that we can quickly, figure out if we're impacted. I mean, we're still along our journey here. I think there's a little bit of an ease to it that, hey, we got our arms around this, yet we still have more work to do. We feel good about it. Now, we haven't had an opportunity where we said, hey, we absolutely caught an issue. That hasn't happened yet. And hopefully we'll catch that. But it's the benefit is the ease and that, we're on the right path of this journey of getting a more mature risk program.
Yeah, I think the tricky thing is that you can't prepare for a specific thing. You prepare for an earthquake and you get a flood. You prepare for a flood, you get a port strike or something like that.
Exactly.
So how do you kind of get your arms around the whole universe of possibilities?
Well, and I think you just, you can't, so to speak, boil the ocean, right? You really need to pick what you want to do. We're able to identify some of our commodities we felt that were riskier, but we by no means have the whole universe mapped. And we may not need to, We were able to do some filtering so we can focus our resources on where they need to be.
Yeah. Now, you were on your own pretty much before, but now there's a little bit more awareness of this topic among other companies, either in your industry or outside your industry. So to what extent can you collaborate with other companies and other industries to help you in your mission going forward?
So I still think we're a leader within our space or our vertical doing this type of work. I think more when I've seen the collaboration is, sort of internal when we're talking about supply risk, but of course risks are branding risk and that type of work where we've collaborated more with other areas of a company that handle risk like credit risk or corporate risk or operational risk.
What about working through organizations like the Supply Chain Resiliency Council? Can that help?
Oh, absolutely. And I think where that is that's a community there of really the leading thinkers in this type of work that we're doing. Of course, benchmarking is always nice and, putting your head up and see what other industries are doing. So I think that's where the council can really benefit us.
Yeah. If I asked you to describe the number one challenge that you face or that you see in risk management, what would that be?
I think it's to sell the program and be able to get and secure resources to do it when you don't have a burning platform.
Mm-hmm. Which you don't at the moment.
So it's a good thing and bad thing, right? Yeah. So it's, if you had something, a supply chain disruption, you get a lot of resources, but I think your program tends to be more focused on that one issue, where if you don't have it, like I said, you can step back and get a more global approach to it.
How important is executive buy-in, top executive buy-in?
It's absolutely important.
And you've got it?
Absolutely, we have it there, and we have some key leadership there that's helping us out big time.
Mm-hmm. Well, Michael, thank you so much for sitting down with us and talking about the situation at Boston Scientific and your efforts to manage risk in your supply chain. Thanks very much for being with us.
Well, thank you.
I was speaking with Michael Landberg of Boston Scientific. Thank you very much for watching.